Good morning and welcome. I'm Juliet George, Acting Senior Grants and Agreements Officer. Hopefully everybody's online now. We'll make a start and hope people can join in afterwards. The PowerPoints will be shared anyway. In today's webinar, we'll cover all aspects of the e-waste infrastructure grants process. The aim is to provide a clear understanding of the e-waste grants programme and how to make your application as effective as possible. My background is in grant management and Smarter Grants administration. E-waste infrastructure grants have been made available by the state government to support an election commitment to ban e-waste from landfill. The grants provide funding for both reuse and recycling with the overarching aim of increasing capacity and capability across the e-waste network. I'd like to note this session only covers e-waste grant information and does not include information about the proposed e-waste ban. Before we start, I'd like to pay acknowledgement to country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which we live and work and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So here's today's agenda. Hopefully, the information we will go through will answer the majority, if not all, of your questions. Anything you would like to ask, please pop in the Q&A as you go, and we'll endeavour to answer them all at the end. If you're not used to the Q&A application, you can find this function in the bar at the top of the screen. You can type your questions into the Q&A similar to how you'd use the chat function. And again, any questions not answered today will be included in the FAQs on the e-waste infrastructure grants website. The department is administering grant funding to support projects that complement the ban on e-waste to landfill by 2024. And grant funding will be allocated to successful applicants before the 1st of July 2024. This does not mean distributed. Distribution will be aligned with individual payment schedules. The programme is designed to fund e-waste infrastructure projects that will increase e-waste collection, storage, reuse, reprocessing and recycling capacity and capability under two streams. Stream 1, e-waste collection and storage and/or reuse. And for the purposes of this grant round, collection means bulk aggregation before onward processing, not collecting and transporting material via designated waste collection vehicles. And in Stream 2, e-waste processing or recycling. And this stream supports both new and upgrade projects. Each of the above streams seeks to align with circular economy principles. Grant streams have been split to ensure funding is maximised and provides value for money projects that support either new or upgraded infrastructure. Stream 1 attracts a maximum grant amount of $250,000 per project. Projects could include an extension to a new or existing laydown facility or concrete pad, purchase of skips or sea containers, etc. An example of semi-permanent infrastructure would be a reconfigured sea container, separation units to allow compartments for differing e-waste streams. With regard to the Australian standard 5377, the expectation is you would have considered and aligned your projects as necessary with the standard. So as an example, the standard may require you to store e-waste undercover. We're not suggesting that this is necessary, however, this is something that your e-waste processing provider may require. Stream 2 then attracts a maximum grant amount of $2 million per project. It includes equipment purchase and installation for new or upgraded infrastructure for e-waste reprocessing and recycling. State government have committed $10.1 million to support projects, with $6.5 million allocated in 2023 to round one projects and up to $3.5 million available in this current round. We are looking to launch a third round in the next quarter that focuses on collection support in the regions, and further information will be distributed once it's available. The focused material categories, not including photovoltaics, align with those discussed within the ban consultation. They include materials that already have a product stewardship scheme or an established collection and recycling avenue, such as screens, IT and telecommunications, lighting and lamps, large household equipment, batteries, temperature exchange equipment, medical devices, and of course photovoltaics. Although photovoltaics will not form part of the ban's first stage, work is being undertaken federally and seeks to implement a product stewardship scheme in the next few years. So should recycling technologies be available for photovoltaics, this grant allows provision for those materials. The e-waste infrastructure grants program webpage, you can see on the screen here, contains all the information you will require when considering your project application. This page provides PDF copies of the guidelines, FAQs, and a sample agreement. The agreement will form the contract between the successful applicant and the department. Please ensure you review all grant documentation before applying. If you remain unsure, it's strongly encouraged to call or email the department to discuss. So for those considering it, I can confirm that multiple applications can be submitted by an applicant, supported by evidence of resources and capacity to complete multiple projects. So successful applicants must maintain separate record-keeping accounts for each grant, including in-kind and cash contributions. If you are looking to submit multiple applications, you must be able to clearly demonstrate the difference between each project. So each project must have different project titles, details, objectives, KPIs, budgets, etc. And if your projects share similar titles, you'll need to clearly differentiate, for example, by number in each application, adding application 1, 2, etc. to the title. Please do not copy and paste information between each application, as the project detail must be different for each application. To help with this, the department uses Smarty Grants to administer our grants, and this has a feature called Smarty File that allows organisations to collaborate with team members, pre-fill information into forms, and manage, view, search, and sort submissions across multiple funders in one spot. This is a free feature that you can access through Smarty Grants, which will make submitting multiple applications quicker and easier. So, who can apply? The list on the screen covers who can apply. Please note for new businesses, you must have been in operation for 12 months prior to the grant award. Local governments include Perth, Peel and regional, and we strongly encourage applications from regional local governments. If you don't have an ABN, you are required to partner with an auspice organisation that does have an ABN. More details on this in the guidelines, but should you wish to discuss this in further detail, you can call the department before submitting your application. Eligibility for grants is not overly complex. This was intentional to ensure capacity and capability is maximised in the e-waste network and ensuring grants are fairly distributed. As you can see in this table, there are eligibility requirements associated with both streams, including stream-specific requirements. These should be considered on their own merit, depending on which stream you are applying for. Please note, if you don't meet the basics of the eligibility criteria, your project will not progress to evaluation. Now, I'll give you a few moments to read through this slide as there's a fair amount of information. This is a direct copy and paste from the guidelines, so you can refer back to them if needed. So in summary, your project must not be based outside of WA. Project cost must be for infrastructure, which does not include operational vehicles. Funding does not support research, development, or feasibility studies, and your organisation must have health, safety, and environmental good standing. You will be required to demonstrate financial capability or value for money, or your project will not progress. And please note, no late applications are allowed. Again, I'll give you a moment to read the screen and familiarise yourselves with the content of this list. This is also a direct copy and paste from the guidelines, so you can refer back to them if needed. So these costs are ineligible for funding, but may be declared and count towards an application's co-contributions. When this programme was developed, we were conscious that the activities noted here are essential to the implementation of a successful infrastructure project. Therefore, we wanted to allow provision for these activities and the costs associated with them as in-kind and co-contributed costs. The in-kind and co-contributions are greatly encouraged, and there's an example of this in the budget section later in this presentation. We want your applications to be successful. So some tips for this are to make sure that your project aligns with one or more of the Waste Strategy 2030 objectives, aligns with one or more of the focus materials, and provides clear, concise, relevant information, free from repeated or copied and pasted material. Provide evidence of quotes, costs, and project management plans. The questions to consider are: why should the panel support my application? And have I provided all the required information for the panel's assessment? Don't assume that an assessment panel has knowledge of your company or organisation or of e-waste generally. Provide enough detail to make it easy for the panel to understand, no matter their background. We want to be confident your project will result in tangible outcomes, is consistent, and ultimately provides capability and capacity in the e-waste management network. Remember, evaluation panel members may not be experts in what you are proposing, but you are. Make it easy for them to see the value in your application in a concise manner. So this is the department's Smarty Grants landing page. We utilise Smarty Grants, as mentioned before, as our grant management software for grant administration. This page is accessed from a link on the e-waste infrastructure grants program website or directly through Smarty Grants, and the link is shown here on the slide. It displays the grants currently open and accessible via Smarty Grants, and you'll need to select e-waste infrastructure grants round 2. Once you've selected e-waste infrastructure grants round 2, you'll come to this page. This is the e-waste infrastructure grants round 2 landing page. Here, you'll be given the opportunity to start a submission, preview or download the application form. We strongly recommend you read the information on this page and preview or download the application form to familiarise yourself with the information required before starting your submission. When you're ready, simply select Start a Submission and you'll be asked to log in or register if it's your first time using Smarty Grants. Once you have registered in Smarty Grants, you can save and return to your application as many times as you like before you review and submit. However, once submitted, you are unable to make any further changes to your application. The Smarty Grants Help Guide is also available as a link on this page. It provides you with all the details you require to submit multiple applications. Please note that submissions will time out after 20 minutes, so you are encouraged to save regularly. This slide provides an overview of the sections in the application form. And these include applicant details to provide your company name, address, ABN, ACN, and auspice arrangements where applicable. Streams and e-waste categories, identify which stream you're applying for and the e-waste categories your project will cover. Project details, identify your site location, objectives, how you'll measure your project, KPIs, and what the project outcomes are you seek to achieve. Assessment criteria, this is the what, who, how, and why. This way you'll be required to add attachments such as your project plan and financial statements. Project budget, so here you can provide your budget costs and evidence to support your anticipated costs. The department values provision of additional cash and in-kind contributions that reflect support and adds value for money. You can include ineligible costs, as previously discussed, as in-kind or financial contributions. If you are applying for grant funding of over 1 million, you must submit a cost-benefit analysis. Project milestone schedule. Make sure you provide realistic, tangible details and dates, because this information will form your progress schedule and be captured in your funding agreement, so ensure you enter achievable dates. Compliance insurance. You can identify any risks of the project, provide copies of licenses and insurances, and information about any breaches and your workplace health and safety. And finally, review and submit. This section gives you the opportunity to add any other relevant supports, declare any conflicts of interest, and confirm that you have been given permission to submit the application. We encourage applications to be thorough, specific, and detailed. So, be clear about what your project is about, what it will achieve, and what it will cost. Remember, the people assessing your application may not be familiar with your organisation, what it does, or be experts in your project area. Being clear on these details will enable your application to be properly evaluated and, if you're successful, will help ensure the funding agreement can be effectively managed. And this grant will have 3 evaluation panel members, 2 from the department and 1 external independent assessor. And as mentioned previously, please do not assume that the panel members know anything about your organisation or what you do. The assessment criteria is broken down into what, who, how, and why. What? You will need to provide evidence that relates to the eligibility criteria, which includes projects provide storage, collection, and reuse benefits, stream 1, or processing benefits, stream 2, to the community. Who? You need to have managed similar projects and provide high-level details of e-waste services you currently or seek to provide. Demonstrate your capacity to support the project and provide evidence. How? Be in tune with the project, providing concise details of how you'll remain on time and within budget. Provide copies of approvals or identify where you will require approvals, for example, environmental site licenses. Why? This is your opportunity to convince the evaluation panel of the benefits of your project, giving special mention to economic and environmental benefits. Identify if you'll create jobs and provide extra tonnage capacity, etc. And remember, in Stream 2, and if you're applying for 1 million or over, you must provide cost-benefit analysis. This provides the department with assurance that you have a viable project and have both understood and addressed risks. You're asked in the application to outline your key performance indicators and other objectives to demonstrate how the achievements of the project will be measured. We recommend that you use the SMART approach outlined here. KPIs should be specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant to the waste strategy and priority areas, and time-bound. An example is provided here for your reference. The assessment panel needs to understand what your deliverables will be, have confidence that your project will deliver worthwhile outcomes, and that the project can be delivered in the proposed timeframe. Include a high-level summary of key steps and timings, and ensure you will have sufficient time for completion of milestones. Consider the impact of public holidays, potential for staff illness, product shortages, supplier delays, etc. This aspect of the application is important as it describes to the assessment panel what you will deliver and when you will deliver it. To approve a project, the assessment panel must understand how and where funds will be expended and be confident that funding will provide value for money. It's essential that all proposed expenditure is as detailed and accurate as possible. A co-contribution will demonstrate a commitment to the project and will be considered favourably in the assessment process when assessing value for money. In preparing your application, you should consider and include all areas that you'll be contributing dollars to in the project. Co-contributions can be cash or in kind or a combination of both. You can use the ineligible costs, as discussed previously, as co-contributions. Lastly, as part of your review before submitting your application, double check your budget figures and ensure they add up. Now, we'll work with successful applicants to develop an agreed timeline for payments and reporting to the department, including milestone reporting and your final evaluation. We aim to ensure projects are tracking as expected with deliverables and key project milestones. There are a series of methodologies for grant payments. Payments may be made as a one-off upfront payment or split into a series of payments aligned with key milestones. And each will be agreed depending on funding values and risks aligned with the project. Please note, Stream 2 applicants are unlikely to be awarded a 100% upfront payment due to the value they will be split across a series of payments. And no matter the payment schedule, you will be required to provide regular milestone reports. So consider how and when you will report on delivery progress. Include high-level summary of key steps and timing, and indicate when progress will be reported to the department, for example, milestone reports and the final project acquittal report. And both of these reports will require financial details. Provide detail on how the benefits of the project will be communicated in your reports. So, finally, before submitting your application, please make sure you confirm that you have read and understood the e-waste infrastructure grant guidelines, completed all relevant fields of the form, including the project funding, confirm budget amounts are accurate and all funding is excluding GST, uploaded all applicable supporting documents, health and safety documentation, quotes, certificates of insurance, support, partnership letters, financial statements, etc. Declared any conflict of interest, actual, perceived, or potential, in relation to the application or project, and confirmed that the application has been completed and submitted by an authorised officer. Remember, applications close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 29th of March, and no applications can be submitted after this time. Any problems throughout the application process, please contact us on the details shown on the screen, and we'll endeavour to help you through them. We'll now move on to questions. I'll work through the questions provided. If there are any in there, I'll take a look now. And any not answered today will be included in the FAQs on the e-waste infrastructure grants website. So Amazing. I only have one question. Stream one is for collection and storage of e-waste, and staff would be required for collection. Is that staff cost not an eligible cost? Sorry, I'm just checking through my notes here. No, it's basically the cost for stream one are for the improvement of the infrastructure. Would not be staffing costs. Oh, we've got a couple more questions just popped in. Are there time limits on project completion if successful? That would be identified by yourselves in your application. You would estimate the times taken for things, and they would be discussed with us through the agreement. Would lithium-ion batteries be covered? Batteries are covered. And also is general e-waste covered, i.e. electronic components from e-scooters and e-bikes? Yes, they would. Can solar panels be included in grant funding? It's an off-grid. Yes, photovoltaics, so solar panels are included in the grant funding. Do we have any other questions? I've just been advised by a colleague that scooters and bikes aren't covered. Apologies for that confusion. In stream one, what about cost for training staff to get certified, test and taggers to sell second hand? No, training is not covered under the grants. Solar panel question was to power the area, not to dispose of solar panels. In that case, no, because that wouldn't be an infrastructure thing that's powering, that'd be providing power to the site. I don't believe that would be covered then. How far out can milestones be? That would be discussed in your application. You would make a proposal. If we think that it's unreasonable, we will come back to you to negotiate if it's considered too long, because it would be based on what the milestones are and for what they are covering. While lithium batteries are included, what about larger lithium batteries like car batteries? Car batteries are included. Do permits need to be in place prior to agreement, or can this be part of a project milestone? It could be part of a project milestone, but we would not be providing the funding for those permits. Any further questions? Okay, if there's no, oh, no, one popped in. Would Stream 1 only cover the cost of purchasing test and tag machines in case of using grant to improve reuse and keep electronics in the market for longer? I'll take that one on notice and get back to you. Thank you, Kat. So, Kat has just responded to the last question. Would Stream 1 only cover the cost of purchasing test and tag machines? And has agreed, yes, it would. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'll wrap up today. Thank you for attending. Oh, no, we've got one more. For Stream 2, does the project actually have to recycle e-waste, or can it be for collection, storage, and transport and a recycling fee? Note, so the collection and storage element is Stream 1. Stream 2 is for your e-waste reprocessing and recycling. I think we'll wrap that up there. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to send them through to the e-waste email address. Thank you very much for attending today. A recording of this session will be made available on the e-waste infrastructure grants website, along with the FAQs, including any questions that we didn't get around to answering today, which I think we managed to get through all of them. But again, feel free to reach out and contact us if you have any other questions. Thank you very much.